So what exactly is a diaper fetish? How can diapers be sexy for the ones who wear them and the ones who put them in a diaper? Let's answer all these questions. Hi, I'm Diaperperv, and how am I even qualified to answer these questions because I don't even wear diapers? So let's go through a little bit of my history. I have been ABDL aware since I was 19, since 1996. Geez, now you know my age. And it has been my fetish at that time and then again as an adult. But that's a whole other story. You can watch the video how I got into ABDL for that answer. So in 2006, I started adultbabygirl.com, and then 2007, because I had all this stuff, I decided to start I Need a Mommy, which is ABDL Mommy's POV from the ABDL's point of view. I was pretty much the first person to do that because at that time there was only the very expensive Phone-A-Mommy services, which not everybody can utilize. Fast forward, I spent 5 years as a professional ABDL diaper fantasy facilitator. And as you can see, I have a nursery in my home, which I did sessions out of. Now, granted, you do not need a full nursery setup to be a diaper fantasy facilitator by any means. So basically, I was a public servant for ABDL for, geez, it's been more than 5 years now. How am I involved in the lifestyle personally? This is my fetish. Yes, this is what I think about 90% of the time, and I love it. I love putting guys in diapers. I love changes. I love everything to do with diapers. And yes, there definitely are stereotypes about people who enjoy diapers. One of the major ones is that people think that if you wear a diaper, that you must like doing everything in it, including pooping in them. That is simply not true. Some people don't even use their diapers for wetting. Some people only wet. Some people wet and mess. Mess equals poop. And some people come in it as well. And some people might just wet and come, or maybe they do all three. Everyone is different. People who want to wear diapers must want to be a baby. Also not true. I'm not a huge fan of the term ABDL, simply for that reason. Some people like to age play, and age play just means they like to role play or are in the mindset of someone who is not their age, not their chronological age. That could mean younger, that could mean older. Sometimes that mindset fluctuates, like they like being a toddler, and that could mean whatever it means to that person. But diapers and age play are not mutually exclusive things. A lot of people are DLs, which is the diaper lover part of ABDL, and they don't engage in any type of age play whatsoever. Nothing. They just like diapers as the fetish object, and that's what we're going to talk about today. That they are immature, they can't adult, and they don't want any responsibilities in life. Also not true at all. In my time as a pro diaper fantasy facilitator, I've seen hundreds of people. I know hundreds more people in the community, whether they're close friends or just acquaintances or just people that I'm friendly with online. And pretty much everyone that saw me for sessions, because you have to be able to afford it, and they had very decent jobs, very good careers. Some were entrepreneurs, some are military, present and former, some are teachers, lawyers, have their own businesses, marketing, really cool jobs that I otherwise would not have gotten to meet these people if I weren't doing what I did. The main root of the question, why do people like wearing diapers? So in all my years of sessions, I always like to ask them, what is your origin story? How did this start clicking for you? So they can tell me in their own words, and I can also get a better idea of where they're coming from. And I could tell you that the hundreds of origin stories I have heard are very varied in terms of what made it click for them. And sometimes they don't have answers. Even though they're introspective about it, they can't really pinpoint why it started. But a lot of people can. And here are some of the common answers. I think the most common that I've heard is, as soon as I was potty trained and it was time to get out of diapers, I just wanted to be back in diapers. That's it. It's simple as that. Sometimes things don't need a long, lengthy psychological explanation because there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a wearable fetish. So, other answers I've heard is sometimes they would be watching a cartoon, like, for example, the old Tom and Jerry cartoons, where I think Tom is the cat. He got put back into diapers for whatever reason, and he had the bonnet on, and he was being pushed in the crib. Sometimes that clicked for people. Or the Flintstones one, where there was like a witch, and then she just turned somebody into baby, and boom, they were a baby again. And all of a sudden they got all this attention. That clicked for some people. Sometimes they would witness a younger sibling getting diaper changed or being put back into diapers because they wet themselves, and that would trigger something. And sometimes it just calls to them. They see diapers from a younger sibling or at a church group or from babysitting, and they're just curious. They steal one, they put it on, and whoa, what's going on down there? I really like how it feels, how it looks, and it just triggers something. Fetish origin stories, that's a really tough can of worms to crack, because I have fetishes and I don't know where they come from, but they came from childhood and things that triggered in childhood. And it's as varied as, say, Chinese food. Another popular question I like to ask is, what came first? The little side? Like, this is if they're age players. I like to ask them, what came first? Their little side, their desire to be little and to age play, or their desire for diapers? And almost every single male answered diapers came first. So they were attracted to the diaper, that is the core of what builds around it. And for women, a lot of women will say the little side came first. So the same words come up with many folks about how they feel when they're in diapers. And some of those words are feeling safe, feeling secure. It feels like a big hug down there. They enjoy feeling small, feeling little, feeling vulnerable, the loss of control, and the subtle embarrassment that comes with wearing this particular piece of undergarment. So the physical sensations of wearing a diaper, like a tight hug down there, feeling the softness against your parts, your private parts, feeling of wetness and heaviness, and how it swells up and feels tight around your crotch when you wet it. That is also awesome. The sensation of being able to wet yourself wherever you are. the warmth of it, the smell of the baby powder is a nice trigger for good memories. Hearing and feeling the noise and the sound of the plastic, of the crinkles, lots and lots of crinkles. Seeing the bulkiness of it. These are all awesome physical sensations that can lead to the feelings of nostalgia, feeling safe and secure. So sexual versus non-sexual. For some people, it is sexual. For some people, it isn't. And for most people, it is a mix of both. So they can just wear a diaper and play video games or do their school report or work and just feel safe and secure and confident. And maybe after wetting it, or maybe they need to mess and they're trying to hold it and then they mess, then the sexual part might kick in. But again, it's different for every single person. Let's talk about, why do people like diapers? Number one, feeling the loss of control. One of the first things we learn is controlling our bladder and bowels. We're praised for not having accidents in our pants, and it's a lot of pressure for someone who's 2, 3, 4. And it's one of the core things that we learn, and that everybody seems to focus so hard on that area. Are you having accidents? Are your pants dry? Do you need to go? Do you need to go potty? So sometimes those memories can trigger feelings of embarrassment or humiliation when they do have an accident. And when they're diapered, it is like the opposite of that. So number two, the physical sensations of wearing them. Wetting, feeling it come out, the bulkiness and heaviness of it, the messing, the struggle of holding it and losing control. That is always super fun, and that goes into the omurashi fetish, which is more pants wetting, but there's also sometimes a desperation element about that, and it is fun to have that feeling of like being super full and then the release. And then also coming, the third one, the trifecta. For a lot of DLs and diaper lovers, their first time coming was in a diaper. Sometimes it's accidental. I mean, you're young, you're a preteen, you're having fun in your wet diaper, you're rubbing it, and oh, they're feeling some sensations down there that they've never felt before, and they're gonna link that. Feelings of humiliation and or acceptance. So some people enjoy the humiliation and embarrassment factor of having the diaper on, of not having control or having that control taken away from them and being made to use their diapers. That is super fun because it goes against everything we were taught since we were young. Some people enjoy the feeling of ultimate acceptance when they get a diaper change by a partner or a caregiver or a friend. It is a sign of ultimate acceptance, like your wife or husband saying, hey, yes, you pee and poo comes out down there and it's okay. I'm gonna take care of that. I'm gonna clean that up, and I'm going to make sure you're clean and you're taken care of, and I got this. You know that if your partner can handle this stuff, like especially messing and dealing with bodily fluids, that they're gonna have your back for life, and that is a really good feeling. Common elements that people also enjoy with diapers. So looking back at all the sessions I've facilitated and all the friends I know that have this fetish, about 50% of my paid sessions were not age play related at all. They were only DL stuff. And just because it's diaper lover stuff doesn't mean that a lot of different elements can't go into it. Same with ABDL or age play. A lot of elements went into it as well. So here are some common stuff that they enjoyed as well as the diapers. Gender play and gender bending. So that included cross-dressing, it included sissification, it includes feminization, it includes having an identity of the opposite sex than they are. And with age play, I feel like it's a very safe space to do that because you're regressed, you're in little space, and sometimes you don't have control of how mommy or daddy wants to dress you. So that allows you to play with a different gender identity. And that was very, very common. Bisexuality. So one of the popular scenarios I would play with for clients was forcing them to pleasure the same sex. And when you add that forced element into it, it alleviates them of the guilt that they may have for their bisexual tendencies or feelings. Also, perhaps having a daddy change them and pleasing mommy and a daddy. I've had both of those requests, and it's definitely very hot to watch because I love daddies changing guys. Anal play, very, very, very popular. Plugs, anal plugs are very popular. Finger checks, prostate massages. I learned to freaking love prostate massages. Thermometer checks, and pegging. Those were all elements that were asked quite often, and I really enjoyed all of that. I did get to fist three people have requested it, and I successfully got my fist into 2, so I'm pretty proud of myself. Spanking. A very popular scenario would be the guy coming home and then his wife, girlfriend, mom finding out that, oh my goodness, you wet yourself. Well, you're getting a spanking, whether it's over a desk or hands on the wall or over the knee spanking. Pants down, underwear down, bare bottom spankings. Super fun. With or without implements. A lot of people like bondage with their diapers as well because it gives them even less control over their choice of using their diaper or being forced to use it. And the forced element is very popular and also very hot. So bondage can include straitjackets, restraints on the crib or on the bed, restraints on the high chair. So what do I, the non-diaper wearing big person, which is opposite of little, gets out of it? I don't wear diapers, but yet visually, aesthetically, it is the sexiest thing to me. Just seeing it all poofy, seeing the white diapers. I like white diapers the most, but prints are also super cute. I love hearing the crinkles, but okay, aesthetics. Let's focus on that. To me, it's like super sexy underwear. And there are ways that I prefer it on a guy where it looks ridiculously sexy, the way it's tucked up, kind of high rise, with the side flaps tucked up properly. And if they're out and loose, that is so gross to me. And to me, I see it like a perfect pissy present. I mean, it's really hot when guys wet. So yes, that is exactly how I see it. It's Christmas for me every time I get to play with a cute diaper boy. Physically, I get to actively take part in our fetish together by checking them, by changing them, by putting them in the diaper. And that makes me really happy. Psychologically, I enjoy the absoluteness of psychologically. I enjoy the absoluteness of the power dynamics. And to me, that's very important. Example, you can't hold it. You can't control yourself down there. So you're going to have to wear this disposable plastic crinkly undergarment as your toilet. And I don't need to wear it because I can control myself down there. I don't need diapers. I can use the bathroom like other members of refined modern society. I love that part of it, making them use it, them having to use it. Their lack of control is the sexiest. I really enjoy the consensual non-consent of diaper checks. Oh my goodness. That they can't be trusted to tell me when it's wet or they don't feel it getting wet. And then I get to physically, there's nothing they can do because they're not in control of that. Privacy is earned right. So I get to diaper check them and basically grab their crotch. It's awesome. When else do you get to do that? Just carte blanche, grab their crotch, shove my hand down their shorts or jeans and feel it and verbally assess it and verbally talk about it. Like, hey, it's really wet down there. Or, yeah, it just, thereby reinforcing the fact that they don't have control over their bodies. I get to make their bathroom decisions on when they get changed, what they're going to get changed into, and where it's going to happen. During a diaper change, there's a lot of trust and vulnerability involved. The whole genital area is open and available like a pissy rat present, and anything can happen down there with proper negotiation and consent, of course. Such as, well, some examples of what can happen during a diaper change is spankings, insertions into both holes, and that's kind of embarrassing and kind of really hot. It also gives me a chance to show my acceptance of them at its entirety and to pamper them down there. So they're like a passive passenger in this whole thing. I'm doing all the work, and I get to fuss over their area and powder them and lotion them, and it's hot. Diapers as part of power exchange dynamics, as punishment and made to wear their bathrooms, as a way of reducing them mentally. And if they're a service slave or into cleaning, and then they can be more efficient, i.e. no bathroom breaks until you're done. Come on, it's motivation. Bathroom control. So maybe the goal is to keep their diaper dry and they must ask for permission to use the bathroom. Like the opposite of, hey, you have no control, we gotta slap this thing on you. Maybe the thing is, I'm controlling when you get to go to the bathroom, and you have to ask permission. You have to try and keep that thing dry. That's even harder when you know you're wearing your toilet. It can be a useful tool for people into encasement or rope or some type of thing where they're bound for periods of time and they might need to relieve themselves. Well, hey, it's all good because you could just go anytime you want. So maybe that can prolong the play in other instances. As part of medical play, oh yes, or asylum scenarios. Yeah, You could do straitjacket in an asylum where I'm dressed up as the nurse, and of course they have no control of what happens in such a situation. Or maybe they are bedridden and in a cast, or in an accident, right? Or pretending. And I'm the nurse or their caregiver, and I have to check all their vital signs and do different types of checks, and diapers are part of it because they can't get out of bed. And the last one, as part of chastity. Because, well, you can't really access your area if the diaper is taped on there really, really tightly, maybe with some duct tape wrapped around it a couple times, just to make sure that you're not touching yourself down there, that you have no choice but to stay locked up in this pissy plastic thing. So let's talk about the risk in diaper play. Risk to the person wearing the diapers. Physical. Well, I guess the most obvious one is diaper rash. Yep, you'll know diaper rash when you see it, because it might look bumpy, scaly, very red, warm to the touch, kind of bubbly. Your skin's all bubbling, it's flaking, it's cracking. Ooh, yeah, there's definitely a lot of creams and powders you can use to try and avoid diaper rash by more recent, more changes, and especially if you mess yourself, to not sit too long in your own mess, depending on the consistency of it. So skin irritations from prolonged contact to poop. So maybe if you know you're going to mess or be in the mood to mess, think about what you had to eat prior to that. Or if you're going to plan it out, don't eat foods that are acidic, yes, spaghetti. No spaghetti. No spicy foods. Now, I say no spaghetti because the spaghetti sauce, when it comes out, it can be kind of acidic. And if you know it's going to be diarrhea, then that might be more acidic because of the acids in your stomach and the rush to get it out of there. Oh, and also reactions to other people's pee. Maybe you don't have a reaction to your own pee, and you can kind of prolong that, but you may not have the same reaction to someone else's urine. And I found that out because, well, I love peeing in cute diaper boys' diapers. So I kind of pee on their genitals and it runs down into their diaper. And I've had a couple people have a negative reaction down there where after a while they're like, it feels itchy or it's burning, and it wasn't doing that before. So maybe just something to be aware that you don't want to do that too long, and maybe you want to shower after that. If it's poop related, you might want to be careful where you're touching, and to not accidentally somehow get it on something you may ingest or may touch your mouth. So maybe during the cleanup area of messing, just don't touch anywhere above this or anything that could touch your face. But if you accidentally ingest a little bit of fecal matter, it is minimally toxic. And that is what the Poison Control Center said. Minimally toxic. It could lead to things, if you have it, like some dangers of ingesting poop are E. coli, salmonella, and hep A. But I find those are pretty low risk. Let's talk about the mental risk. So if you are, I guess, engaging with someone or even without someone. Diaper wearing can be a very emotional experience. First, there's the buildup of getting the diaper, the anticipation of wearing it, and then finally doing it, to the expectations you have of this experience, to possibly triggering old memories from childhood, good or bad ones. Shame. A lot of ABDLs tend to go on a binge, which is a lot of wearing and using their diapers, whatever, to purging, which means tossing away your stuff, tossing away all your diapers and stuff to do with the diapers because they're so guilt-ridden and ashamed of liking something that is so taboo and not readily accepted. And of course, drop. This is a very real thing. I've seen lots of people go through drop. Even if it's a session, afterwards they'll feel sad. There's a lot of buildup in emotions involved, and they're not expecting to feel the way they feel afterwards, which is, that was so exhilarating. Now I'm alone. Now it's gone. How do I get that back? I felt so accepted, and boom, I don't have this anymore. Risk to the top. That's me. So the first one would be touching fluids you may be uncomfortable with during a diaper change. And the answer is just use gloves. And if you're concerned about any type of smell, well, we're in COVID time, so you can wear a mask and put some essential oils in it, and it's gonna minimize the smells. And another one is breathing in baby powder, which is a risk for both parties. The answer, use cornstarch. And of course, tops can have a very emotional experience as well, and they can drop. So please be aware of that. Risk to the venue and or voyeurs. So let's say you're using diapers as part of a play, part of a scene at a BDSM place, party. Okay, so the risks are fluids may get on the furniture. So what you can do is ask everyone who is into diapers or ABDL diaper play that they bring a covering or something or towel to put down on the equipment before they start playing. Or one venue that we went to, they asked that our diapers be covered by another piece of clothing. So either you can put a towel down, or if you have shorts or plastic pants or pants, that you put them on over your diapers. Others may see your genitals and whatever is in the diaper that came out of you, and they may not be ready for that. So it would be good to, if you're in a general kink play space, to let people know what's going to happen. Hey, how do you feel if I changed my girlfriend here? And make sure that they're aware of what may happen. Another risk is that others may smell pee, but it really isn't. It's usually contained very well using modern day ABDL diapers. The plastic is there for a reason, and this is only for the plastic back diapers. If you're using a cloth back diaper, then smell and a little bit of wetness can escape. So I actually don't recommend those for in a BDSM play space. I'm not into cloth backed at all, but some people may be, and that's super cool. I know a lot of the younger ABDLs like the cloth bath because that's what they had growing up. So another way to alleviate the pee smell is to drink more water because that will dilute your pee. And do more diaper changes. Don't let it sit for so long that you get that ammonia smell. You know what I mean? After hours, then it turns from a nice, pleasant, fresh pee smell with the baby powder, which I love that combination, to a really sharp, very high noted ammonia smell. And you're like, ugh, no. And I don't like that at all. And I think a lot of people think of that when they think of diapers and they're turned off by diapers. They think of that very high, sharp ammonia smell, which they may have smelled in a medical setting, like in a hospital or old folks home, because most of the time they're not getting changed enough. And because there's not enough caregivers, so they let that sit for such a long time that that's all you smell is the strong ammonia. So let's talk about negotiations. If you're playing with someone who's into diapers, it really depends on if it's just a quick check and change or a full scene that you want to experience. Stuff that I wouldn't consider a scene, I would ask permission to check them, and if I could change them, and if that, it also includes a future time frame. So I'll take it step by step. Like, let's say I'm at a convention or I'm at an ABDL event. Hey, how's it going? And you know, usually it wouldn't be a stranger. We would be chatting for a little bit, and I'll ask them, can I check your diaper? And if they say yes, then I'll do my check. And if they need a change, if I determine they need a change, then I'll ask them, can I change you? Simple as that. I would also ask if there's any areas to avoid, and okay, the type of powder and wipe I'm gonna use. And depending on the venue we're at, I would inquire if they wanted it to be public or private, because I'm okay with public changes. Not public like the general public, but for example, at West Coast Jungle Gym Age Play Convention in San Diego, they had a changing room in their general huge all-purpose, multi-purpose nursery room. It was out in the open, and people could get changed there, while other people could watch or not watch, whatever. And they had private changing booths that were all curtained off, so you could have a choice. Negotiations for a deeper, more in-depth scene. Most folks who are already into diapers will have a lot of fantasies and elements, and most will not be linear. So they'll tell you, I would like a change, I would like checks, I would like this, but they're just elements, they're actions. So as a big person, I know it's gonna seem like a lot of pressure to kind of create a scenario, but just do it on the fly. It's non-linear. This is a non-linear fantasy where you just try to have fun and maybe hit all the things that you both want to hit. I have a whole process of helping ABDLs and their partners or pro caregivers at myvegasnursery.com, and I'll put the link right here. It's actually a video as well, so you can either download the PDF files, and it's a series of questions that you can answer, or watch the video, it's the same thing. And of course, discussing your hard limits and your soft limits. And if you don't know what those are, hard limits are definitely not doing these things. Soft limits are, I would consider it. Let's talk about it. I also made an ABDL checklist, interest checklist at my Vegas nursery. So please download that. And that's kind of like a tick box thing with all these different actions and stuff to do. And you can take it off. And of course, disclosure of past traumas. This is pretty important too. Sometimes there might be things that are triggering to a bad memory in childhood that you want to stay away from. And sometimes you don't even know what those triggers are until you experience it, until you're doing a scene and then something happens and then they're crying. And it's okay to cry. There's nothing wrong with crying. I cry all the time. There's videos of me on YouTube crying. So here is a example. Well, here is the ABDL checklist. Going even deeper. Even deeper. I like to ask them, what's your top fantasies that you think about? And then that way, they could talk about it, and I can pick out the elements that you both enjoy and want to explore together. Ask for clarification on terms such as humiliation or being mean, because the range on those can be vast and open to interpretation based on the person's experience. So if you're with someone who is a dom, then they're gonna think of the term, they're gonna interpret humiliation to be one thing that could be very different than what you want in humiliation, because humiliation to you as the diaper wearer could just be being put in a diaper and reminded to use it. What acts are important versus never thought about? For example, playtime with toys, not sexual toys, just little kid toys, bath time, feedings, story times, cuddles. It's a good time to suggest new elements to try out. And I love asking the question, how do you want to feel? Because sometimes they'll give you a list of very harsh actions like spanking and forced diapering, forced to use your diaper for everything, and anal toys. And when I ask them how do they want to feel, that my wife accepts me and loves me. So that kind of gives me the overall experience on what they want to experience. A lot of things that I hear are to feel helpless and little, feel loved and cared for, have no decision-making power, small and adorable, and diaper sissy spot. And of course, discussing what sexual elements will be involved, if any, and what toys will be involved. And I always like to pull out the toys because my experience is usually with men, pulling out what anal toys we may or may not want to use and making sure they see the signs beforehand, so it's not a surprise. Like they're in the moment, they're like, whoa, what the fuck is that? And of course, talk about barrier use with the toys and if sex is involved with the sexual acts. And I like to do it, and I think it's always good to do it, but check in with the person during the scene to make sure they're okay. As a top, that's my responsibility to make sure that they're good, they're having a good time, even if they're reliving some past trauma that they wanted to, that they're okay and they want to continue on with this, because I'm into consent, and it's an important part of enjoying experiences together. Because the scenes can be complex and fluctuating, negative feelings aren't always a bad thing, especially if it's something that they really wanted, such as the embarrassment or humiliation, or reliving something in their childhood past, or reliving an embarrassing situation that they had with a wife. Sometimes having that dichotomy is great to enhancing these opposing feelings later on. Because if they're being very humiliated and shamed into wearing the diaper, the feeling of acceptance and diaper changing them and cuddles, it will accentuate that. It will really, because they're so opposite feelings, they're going to feel it even harder. Sometimes these negative feelings can trigger childhood memories, and it can be a way for some to work through them, but with a different outcome. And I've done that with session clients as well. And of course, don't forget aftercare and a wind down period. Instead of just like, oh, time's up, boom, you're in your big boy pants again. Be aware and have enough time for that transition back into non-diaper wearing world. After the scene, so these type of deeper experiences will take time to digest, so I encourage people to give me feedback after everything sinks in and they have time to reflect upon it. So writing things down will help them organize and gather their thoughts while not being pressed for time. So someone asking you, like, what'd you think of that? It's hard to give you an answer when you don't know how you feel, because you need to be away from that situation sometimes to really understand how that affected you. And that's it. I hope you liked my little explanation of why people have a diaper fetish and how you can engage with your partner in it as well. Bye.